to the idea of art in our everyday and open spaces that we all have access to, visual artists too are still trying to get to the hang or understand the hang of this art form. While it may look like something that is easy to execute, a lot goes into putting the best art in the best place for the best meaning to the best observers, and the upcoming public art workshops to be facilitated by, of course, Usha Seerajim at the Bag Factory in Johannesburg, and it aims to address all of that and so much more. Usha joins us now from our studio in Durban. Usha, thank you very much for joining us here on Morning Live. And just talk to me about this concept, the idea of public art.
Morning, Sam. You know, art is often seen only in galleries or museums, and in South Africa in particular, we don't have a gallery-going audience. And when art is taken into a public space, firstly, it makes art more accessible, but also it becomes part of our everyday experience. We're confronted with it, and artists can sometimes play with that, use that to their advantage. But it is a different dynamic, as you've stated earlier.
Public art as opposed to the kind of art that you find on canvas or in museums. How do we shift our mindset around that? Because we have a construct of what art is and where it should be.
I think it shifts our definition of exactly that. What is art and where it should be? The fact that we have all kinds of visual information in our public spaces. We're bombarded with advertising. We're bombarded with billboards and design on all levels. A park bench is designed by somebody. So as an artist who makes work in a public space, all those things are taken into consideration. One also has to consider, for example, how the work is going to attest to the weather. If it rains, is the work going to rust? Is it going to get damaged? In a gallery, those considerations are very different. If I put a canvas work outside, it's going to probably get damaged. So in a public space, one thinks also on a different scale, things that are much, much bigger, because if you make a tiny work, it would probably get lost in a city.
Let's talk, reflect for me very quickly 10 years ago, with just the role that public art played vis-a-vis now, where we're actually talking about it. Why are we ready for it now?
I don't think it's a question of being ready for it. I think the nature of public art has probably shifted. Public art has always been around. Monuments and memorials are part of public art. And recently, Roads Must Fall, I suppose, speaks to the protest against that form of art making, about who it is that we memorialize, how is it that we capture our history through public art. Recently, maybe in the past 10 years in South Africa, there is an acknowledgement of an alternate representation of public art, or an alternate representation of our history. There are a number of public artworks which are not made in the traditional kind of bronze, realistic human representation. So artists are perhaps given a platform to make art in more innovative, creative ways, which allow the audience to almost engage in a more intelligent way.
Let's quickly talk about artists and platforms. If there's an artist sitting at home that's watching this interview or interacting at some level that wanted to create work for the public space, where would they even begin?
That's a very good question, because there are different kinds of public artwork. A lot of large public artwork is commissioned either through government, through somebody like the Department of Arts and Culture, or through corporate. A lot of corporates commission artists to make work for their offices, both outdoors and indoors, in their foyers and so on. And then there's another side of public art, which is perhaps where street art or graffiti fits in, which is a bit more, no, I wouldn't use the word illegal, perhaps guerrilla is the right word, where the artist takes the initiative to make a statement in a public space without permission. But even those lines are getting blurry, where street artists are now being commissioned as well.
Usha, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us from our Durban studios. That was a visual artist, Usha Seerajim, who is known and respected for, among other things, her public art pieces. She will interact with artists and other art practitioners at a 3-day workshop that will focus on public art at the Bag Factory in Newtown, Johannesburg. The workshop will take place from the 27th to the 29th of August, and it will be 350 Rand. For more information, go to www.bagfactory.co.za, or I should say bagfactoryart.org.za. From us, it's a wrap here on the show. Don't forget Morning Live Run.